everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well. Today I'm going to be talking about my new favourite mystery author, Miss Janice Hallett. So I've been aware of Janice Hallett for a few years now and have been pretty sure I was going to absolutely love her work. She does these kind of multimedia murder mysteries, so instead of it being like written narrative, it has text messages or emails or documents and that kind of stuff that really adds another dimension to the mystery and to the enjoyment of the story. A couple years ago I actually ended up reading The Appeal, which I gave 5 stars, absolutely loved. I did a video on it. And then I went on to read The Christmas Appeal, which is like a spin-off of The Appeal. I also rated that super highly. I did a video on that as well. And I love those books. I was so excited that I loved Janice Hallett as much as I was hoping. So when the opportunity arose to read more of her work, I couldn't resist. The first one I read was the Twyford Code, which follows Steve, who has recently gotten out of prison and is looking into the disappearance of one of his school teachers, which happened while he was at school. Through this teacher, he learned about this like children's author who everyone's kind of convinced that there's like secret codes in the stories. So he's also looking into that, and then he thinks that the disappearance of his teacher and that are connected. I ended up giving this 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. So this story is told through audio transcripts. So Steve is illiterate, so he is documenting this whole process. I believe it's for his parole officer through these voice notes, and then they've been transcribed into the book. Going into it, I was a little bit apprehensive because one of the things I loved about The Appeal was how much, like, all the different mediums, but it worked really well for the story and I really did enjoy the form. Going into it as well, Steve is very rough around the edges. The setting is very rough around the edges. He was living in like a halfway house and then is starting afresh, so it's definitely a little bit grungy, which was a stark contrast to The Appeal, which is like very kind of cozy English village, like upper class people who have nothing much on other than like the play. But it was really interesting and I think it was handled really well. It was kind of nice to shed this light onto this character in still like a cozy mystery kind of way, where you're getting to see a different part of life, I suppose, rather than like what I think of when I think of like a cozy English mystery where it's, you know, manor houses and all this kind of stuff. And his character had lovely like character growth throughout the story. Obviously coming out of prison, like you're going to be in a growth phase, so that was a nice part of his journey to join him on. The other characters in this story were also amazing. They added such an interesting like mix to it. I think Janice Hallett does characters really well and they all play their roles very well without it feeling too like archetypal. They all kind of contribute to the story in really meaningful ways and no one feels superfluous, which I really liked. And they all kind of feel like they feel very fleshed out without it being too sidetracked on, you know, random side characters. There's not a lot I can say, honestly, without spoiling it, but it is such a creative story. It definitely started a little bit slow, but it definitely picks up and the twists and turns you would not believe, and it's really fun and interesting. I really don't want to spoil it. I think it's so much better if you go in as blind as possible, but it was so well done and just very creative. Janice Hallett has such an incredibly like interesting way of putting stories together, and all the different pieces move and come together really well. I've read a lot of mysteries where it's a great story, really interesting, but the way that the different puzzle pieces are presented and slotted together aren't as satisfying, and you never have that problem with Janice Hallett. It reads like a popcorn book where you just want to keep turning the pages, but it's still got depth, which I really love. So after reading the Twyford Code, I could not resist and ended up reading The Examiner, which is another one of Janice Hallett's. I didn't really want to read her work too close together because I've had this issue before where I do these author videos and I like burn through all of their work. I still have a few Janice Hallett's left, but I was not intending on reading these so close together. So The Examiner follows an external course examiner who is overlooking the like grades of this course, and he suspects that something has gone awry, that there's been a murder or like someone's missing, and so he's sifting through everything and kind of getting other people's opinions to see what's going on. So this is told, a lot of it is through like an internal chat in the like school's portal, and then you get to read their works, like teachers' notes, and then there's some text messages as well. So within the group, we have, I think it's 5 or 6 students who are taking this course. It's a brand new like art course, So we have, you know, it's like a new student who's brand new, straight out of uni, and then she's doing this course. There's like experienced artists in it, a mum who's just looking to, like, you know, kind of enrich her. I think she was a digital or graphic designer, wanted to kind of brush up on some skills. So definitely like a really odd mix of characters from all walks of life. And then we have a teacher who is trying to start this new course. So it's the first time this course has gone on, and it's her kind of pushing to make sure that this course has legs and get it picked up for the next year. I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 5 stars as well. It's kind of difficult to say like unique things, I suppose, about this and the Twyford Code, because all of Janice Hallett's work, the things I like about it are across all of her works, but I really did enjoy the medium of this one more. I think it was quite fun getting to see from the different characters, and I loved as well because you have like there was a message board with everyone in it, and then there would be text messages and DMs, and so it was so funny because you would see, you know, group chat messages and then private stuff between other characters. And I always like that, where you kind of have the big main part and then you get to pull the curtain back and kind of see what's actually going on in their minds or what's going on behind the scenes. As well, I thought the characters were really well done in this. It's a little bit tricky, I think, to build characters that are relatable and that you feel connected with to the same level when you're not getting to be in their head, which you don't get to be with these Janice Hallett's books. You only really get to know like what they're saying to other characters. So I think it's quite interesting that you can get this level of depth from these characters through just their dialogue with each other. There was some like internal journals, but really not very many. And I think Janice Hallett does a really good job of that, and really making distinguished characters that are all, as I said, like about the Twyford Code, they all pull their own weight, but it feels diverse and there's lots of different things happening without it feeling overwhelming or like it's overpowering the story because we're doing too much character development. I'd say like her words pack a punch, and she's very good at defining things very succinctly, unlike me when I make these videos. The mystery in this one really came together very well. Again, I didn't see it coming. I do like that as well with her books. You don't know what's going to happen by the end of it. I mean, this one we went into it with the examiner thinking there was going to be a murder, and what happens is like there's so many plot twists, there's so much other stuff going on. So I quite like that with Janice Hallett. It's like you pick it up and you have no idea where the story's going to go, which is a lot of fun. And I think can be a little bit rare because, again, some of these murder mysteries start to feel like there's a bit of a formula and you know what's gonna kind of happen. I especially think of like Midsummer Murders, where you know there's gonna be like first murder, second murder, they're gonna catch them in the act of the third murder. Like that's the formula. And so I think a lot of mystery books can fall into formulas where I don't think Janice Hallett does at all. But yeah, I really enjoyed all the different pieces coming together, and the twists and turns were just phenomenal. I really think that her books are just, they're something different. Like, I don't think anyone else is really doing what she is doing. Not only with the multimedia aspect, but I think even if it was written narrative, it would still be such interesting stories that are not being done, like in the murder mystery space. So yeah, I definitely think if you like kind of, I don't want to say Gillian Flynn because she's really dark, and I don't think Janice Hallett is not that dark, but that level of crazy plot and things going places you would never expect, I think Janice Hallett kind of has a similar eye with that, where you're getting so much more than you would have ever expected. That is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm really glad that I got to pick up these two books, even though they were back to back, which I didn't love, and discovered and kind of solidified, I won't say discovered, solidified Janice Hallett as one of, if not my favorite, murder mystery author. Please let me know in the comments below if you guys have read any of her stuff. I would love to hear your thoughts. And yeah, hope to see you guys in another video soon. Bye!